各位来宾您好。
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the Path to Business Excellence and Sustainable Development International Forum on Innovative and Inclusive Productivity. We have CPC published books displayed outside the auditorium. We also have water made available for you on the table. Our event will begin in 3 minutes. Please be seated. Also, please be reminded to turn off your mobile phones or turn them to vibration mode. Please also be reminded that photography and recording is not allowed, and eating is not allowed in the auditorium as well. Thank you.
好的，杨书长总经理。
Mr. Yang, Mr. Chen, Mr. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the Path to Business Excellence and Sustainable Development International Forum on Innovative and Inclusive Productivity. I'm your MC, Yan Ling. In today's conference, we'll talk about how to raise productivity as we pursue sustainability. We'll also discuss issues of inclusivity, and we are very happy to be joined by 6 speakers from different sectors, and they'll share with us their experience in achieving ESG, and I believe that we'll all learn a lot from their presentations. To kick off today's forum, please join me in welcoming the General Manager of China Productivity Center, CPC, Mr. Zhang Baochen, to say a few words.
我平常在这种场合讲，
Well, on this kind of occasion, usually I don't use a microphone, but today we are also live streaming this event. That's why I'm using a microphone. First of all, on behalf of my organization, I'd like to welcome you all. Mr. Yang, the Director General of the Industrial Development Administration, Mr. Chen from the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, Mr. Liu from the NQA Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This international forum was organized under the auspices of the Industrial Development Administration, and our sponsor is APO, the Asian Productivity Organization. It's like the United Nations of productivity organizations in Asia. It was founded in 1961, and the ROC was one of the founding members. And every year at APO events, CBC plays a very important role. And today's forum is, in fact, a very important sub-project in the APO's 2025 Vision project. Obviously, innovation is the key to enhancing value, and we also want to talk about inclusivity and ESG sustainability. Now, in the SDG United Nations Sustainable Goals, there are 17 different goals covering more than 169 items, and 2030 is upon us, and we are really moving towards the SDG. Once again, CPC plays a very important role in promoting innovation and inclusivity. In recent years, in many different organizations and also in the media, I've been talking about productivity, and we're not talking about productivity as defined by Adam Smith. We are actually talking about something even more, including the so-called inclusiveness. So we have to think about different stakeholders, including our clients and also the environment. So among the 17 SDG, if you look at the fifth category, it talks about gender equality. It's very important. It used to be that people didn't really pay much attention about gender equality. Perhaps people would only talk about CSR, but in SDG 9, it talks about innovation. But what it is truly talking about is creating connections among organizations. Now, if we want to create an inclusive partnership, we should also use SDG 17 as our guideline. And in fact, today we have winners of the National Quality Awards. We also have leaders in different sectors, and they'll share with us their experience. And I'm sure that the presentations will be very informative. And we also have two executives from our center. They will be talking about, for example, a greenhouse gas inventory. And we'll also talk about sustainability reports. So some tangible examples will be shared with you. And this also links to DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusiveness. So again, on behalf of CPC, I want to welcome you all. And I also want to thank all the attendants from APO membership countries. Now, sustainability should involve everyone, not just companies. Every one of us should also play our part. And once again, we look forward to the very informative presentations this afternoon. And we'll we look forward to the insights. And on behalf of CPC, I want to thank Director General Yang for his support. He is here with us, and he will also say a few words. And I also want to thank the Secretariat of the APO. I want to thank the Secretary General for your support for this project. We have interpreters here on site, and we also have members of the press here to spread the word for us. Now, CPC is always your partner. Thank you.
谢谢，谢谢总。
Thank you, Mr. Zhang. We are also joined by several guests of honor, and we are now going to take a group photo. So please raise the placards.
那我们首先第一张，我们
Okay, for the first photo, let's just smile.
好，我们再看向前方，
And then a second photo. Thank you. So now we are also going to hear from our guests of honor. Our first guest of honor is Director General Yang Zhiqing from the Industrial Development Administration. Thank you. General Manager Zhang from the CPC, Mr. Chen from the NASME, Mr. Liu, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm very happy to see this international forum coming to shape. Now, while this forum is taking place, at the cabinet, there's also a meeting on innovative economy and inclusive growth. So both events talk about the same themes. Now, as our economy grows, I believe that everyone is important. We should not leave anyone behind. And in net zero transformation by 2050, we have come up with several measures. One measure is fair transition. That means that no one should be left behind. And this is like what Mr. Zhang said. Some areas of the economy are growing faster, others are growing a bit slower. But by sharing experience with each other, I believe that we can try to strike a balance. My administration has been working with CPC, and the ROC is a founding member of the APO, and we are very willing to share our success story with other members. And I think our experience can be reference for members. Obviously, they can also see how such experience can be replicated in their own countries with some adjustments. Now, my administration, we are looking to decarbonize and also to promote smart transformation. Now, we are seeing population aging and also falling birth rates. That's why we have to think about productivity issues. So we are now also trying to leverage digitization and AI tools to help us enhance our productivity. And this is what my administration and many companies in Taiwan have been doing. I think particularly SMEs, we hope that larger companies can also share their experiences with smaller members across the supply chain. It's very important for the whole supply chain to work together. Once you get an order, you have to work with your suppliers and vendors so that you can deliver on your orders. And carbon print is another issue. It's not just about your own carbon footprint. It is, in fact, you also have to think about your suppliers because you have to consider the Scope 3 emissions. And this is why it's important for us to learn with each other. And we are now looking to secure a budget of 11 billion across 3 years. And we hope that there will be more opportunities for Taiwan to share our success stories with you. We have a stellar lineup of speakers, and I'm sure that their presentations will be very informative. So, lastly, I wish this international conference a great success. Thank you, Director General Yang. The Director General has other engagements. And once again, thank you for gracing us with your presence. Thank you. Next up, please join me in welcoming Deputy President Chen Wanlai of the National Association of Small and Medium Enterprises.
中国生产力中
General Manager Zhang of CPC, President Liu of the NQA Alliance, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, online and on-site, good afternoon. Today we are gathered here to talk about this very important topic, inclusive and innovative productivity. At this stage, we SMEs, we play very important roles in the global economy. SMEs are important drivers for economic growth. SMEs are also the source of growth for various sectors. SMEs also are very important roles in ensuring a resilient supply chain. Today, we have many organizations working together, including APO and MOEA, as well as CPC. Thank you. A big thank you to all the organizers for organizing this well-thought event, well-organized event, because we're talking about very important topic today. Also, I think there's one feature to our event today. That is, the organizers have invited frontrunners who do very well in terms of sustainable development, sustainable operations, and innovation. They come from different sectors. They, of course, enjoy operational excellence. They are also leaders in sustainable development. With their sharing, we believe we can all learn a lot from these important leaders. As I mentioned, SMEs play very important roles in the economy, but of course, it's no easy feat running a SME. That is why we need to constantly upgrade ourselves in the area of manufacturing technology, in the area of service models. We need to migrate to low carbon and smart developments. We need to go after smart and low carbon transformation. With that in mind, we are eager to learn the best practices from industry leaders. In closing, I would like to thank CPC once again for organizing this event for us. I wish the event a great success, and I wish all of you health and happiness. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vice President Chen of the Taiwan National Association of SMEs. Next, we would like to invite Mr. Liu Huirong from the NQA Alliance to say a few words for us. 您好。
这个生产力中心的张宝成总
General Manager Zhang of CPC, Mr. Chen of the SME Association. We actually went to the same school together. Members of press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as well as our partners online. Good afternoon. I am very grateful to CPC for organizing this together with APO. Today we're talking about innovative and inclusive productivity. This is a very important topic. For today's forum, we have invited past winners of National Quality Awards and other awards. We have representatives from metal processing and intellectual property. We also have representatives from the financial sector. Yisan Bank actually has won the award 5 times. That's an outstanding achievement. We also have businesses that help rural areas develop. For example, we are going to hear from Chazitang as well as Tenno Rice representatives. They are all outstanding representatives. And Taiwan is blessed with the help of wonderful organizations such as CPC. We also get the full support of our Ministry of Economic Affairs so that our SMEs can grow into global enterprises. I've been involved in the SME sector for a very long time. I often say that all the large corporations that you see today, including our electronics companies, our semiconductor companies, these listed companies, they all started as SMEs. And today, CPC has also invited DG Yang from IDA to give us the opening remarks. I'm grateful for your support. With this, I think our forum today is going to be very successful. In closing, I would like to wish all of you the best of luck in all of your endeavors. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. Please be seated. Thank you. Before we kick off the presentations, we would like to invite Mr. Ling Hong Mo from CPC to give us the presentation. He's going to talk to us about path to business excellence and sustainable development. General Manager Zhang, VP Chen, President Liu, and our APO members online. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to give you the keynote speech titled Path to Business Excellence and Sustainable Development, Excellence in Management and ESG. And we've been talking about smart and low carbon transformation. It's a journey, and we want to help businesses embark on this journey using the resources that are available. This is the outline of my presentation. Let me begin with this. When people think about ESG, they often think about risks and opportunities. First of all, let's look at this. If you look at the right-hand side, we see misinformation and disinformation. Actually, the most radical problem that we're faced with is extreme weather. For example, today, we are experiencing heavy rains more and more frequently. So that's the most important problem. Now, going forward, we are going to face more and more natural disasters. And again, you see these two, they are going to continue to haunt us. And here you see other important items such as the loss of biodiversity, etc. These are all challenges we are going to face in the future. And this is a network graph showcasing the relationships among different factors. These are the risks that we are faced with, and we need to solve or mitigate these risks. For example, we need to sometimes take immediate actions. So those were about risks, but we also have a lot of opportunities. For example, we can have opportunities in finding new energy sources. So the risks and opportunities must be considered together. It's about coming up with a comprehensive analysis, knowing the landscape completely. Now, back to business excellence. In the past, we started with QI, quality inspection, then QC, QA. Now we talk about TQN, TCS. This is how business excellence has evolved. In the past, we focused primarily on products and services. And these days, we talk more about being a good corporate citizen. And going forward, sustainable development is going to be vital. This is the path forward. Now, the core principles of business excellence, ESG has to be part and parcel of this business excellence. For example, we have to be customer oriented. We need to have vision as we lead. We need to engage all stakeholders. And these are the 8 aspects of business excellence. You can see the different aspects from the slide. Let me just share this with you. You should not just think about this framework as a scoring framework. It's a process that we need to go through step by step, and you will finish all the 8 aspects. Now, from that perspective, these are the different scoring items. I'm sure you have all received information on this. This is how we can give scores to different aspects. If you go through all these 8 aspects, you will know how well your business is doing. Among the 8 aspects, all of them have something to do with ESG, environment, social, and governance. In the future, if we have other opportunities, I would like to delve into these issues with you. I have some good examples to share with you. For each aspect, these aspects are actually closely related. For example, leadership has something to do with E, S, and G. For strategic environment management, it has a lot to do with environment. Now, let me share this slide with you. For example, leadership. Definition of leadership. Leadership has to be able to articulate their vision, including what they're going to do with environmental protection, how they are going to protect their workforce, etc. And here's an example from China Steel. Their vision is intelligent innovation, green energy, and carbon reduction. Second aspect, strategic management. Here, the example also talks about environmental protection and social responsibility. The company must clarify their sustainability strategies, such as how they are going to embark on digital transformation, low carbon transformation. And these are the strategies or slogans from this example company: green product innovation, circular economy, etc., etc. Another aspect, for example, this one is R&D. Low carbon or zero carbon emission is, of course, the ultimate goal. You also have to consider the materials you use. Take Escafé Ocean as example. They have applied for many patents based on the innovative technologies that they use. They use a lot of recycled materials. So these are just a few examples that I would like to share with all of you attendees here on site and online. And the next one, environment or customer and market development. Here's an example from Unimicron Technology. They focus on how to utilize opportunities such as clients' visits to factories to talk about their concepts and practical experiences. And here, when it comes to human resource and knowledge management, this is also a great aspect where you can communicate with your workforce. You need to take stock of your own gender equality. And here's an example from Xinyi Realty. They look at different metrics, for example, the percentage of women executives and the training hours that their employees receive. Another aspect, information technology. We should leverage ICT technologies. And here's an example from Syscom Computer Engineering. What they do is they conduct carbon inventory taking using ICT so that they can make decisions based on data. Next one, this is process management. Here's an example from MediaTek. They try to use process optimization to do something for their hometown. Everyone can do something for their hometown. And again, this is incorporated into the 8 aspects that I talked about. And then if you can cover the 7 aspects right, you are going to see great results in the operational performance aspect. And here's an example from Isam Bank. Later on today, the speaker from Isam Bank will give you more details. And here you look at the results they have achieved over the years, for example, being included in the DJSI Dow Jones Sustainable Index. And again, this is the 8 aspects should form a cycle. First, you build consensus, and then you go to step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and conduct CDPA before you write your report. We should implement PDCA, and the steps 2 to 5 should form a cycle. You need to follow this cycle before you can go to the next step.
Okay, so step 1 is to build consensus and initiate strategizing. And in here, you also have to combine your ESG concepts with your company's mission and vision. And you want all employees to understand and resonate with these principles. So you have company goals, and all the departments within the company will have some kind of guidelines. And we also hope to develop short, medium, and long-term implementation blueprints. These blueprints will be adjusted accordingly. Okay, and then from steps 3 to 5, you have to define the objectives and strategies for each phase. And most importantly, you need to implement digital technologies and management techniques. Now, at CPC, in fact, we also have something to share with you. Our general manager, Mr. Zhang, mentioned that we have a smart machine project, and it has to do with digital transformation. And we also work on net zero. So now that means that we've already gone through the process for smart and net zero transformation. So when we do PDCA, we are basically helping companies to use KPI concepts and so on. So by combining the TQM and ESG, you can go through the whole process, and you also need to use new technologies, as I mentioned earlier. So this will speed up transformation. So digital transformation and net zero transformation, these are two very important transformation approaches. And in Taiwan, our government has also launched the so-called 5 trusted industries. And these 5 industries will rest on the 2 pillars of digital and net zero transformation. And then here, the last stages, you can apply for various awards and report your preparedness. And we believe that this will also help entrench your sustainability initiatives. And this is my conclusion. We hope to help businesses seize opportunities so that they can achieve transformation and pursue business excellence, as well as realizing sustainable development. Now, we hope that CPC, we can really give you a hand. Thank you very much.
谢谢副总精彩的。
Thank you for your presentation. So after all the presentations, we'll have a Q&A session for you to ask your questions. Our next speaker is Executive Vice President Mei Lun Zhang from Dientronics. Let's welcome her.
各位长官
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Kate Zhang from New Dientronics, Taiwan. It's a great pleasure for us to share with you some of our experience in pushing for ESG. Our founder, Ms. Liu Huizhen, founded the company in South San Francisco in 1985. And at the time, there were some quality issues with our suppliers. And our founder's parents were very old. And then she came back to Taiwan in 1987 to set up manufacturing facility in Taiwan. And later, our company relocated to Tucheng outside Taipei. We also have Format, which is our venture capital arm. And then we also set up the Jiayi factory. In 2020, in Nevada, in the US, we also built our Reno facility. We make medical devices. And over the years, we've obtained many certifications around the world. And we also apply for several awards in Taiwan. The goal of such applications is to give us an opportunity to check our own performance. And we are very happy to receive acclaim from these award organizations. On this page, I'd like to share with you the mission of our company. We make medical devices, so it is very important for us to maintain quality. And we believe that quality comes from caring. If you care, you will be diligent and you will persevere. So we care for our customers, employees, suppliers, products, and the environment. This is the shared mission throughout our company. We also adhere to our mission of caring for people, caring for products, caring for the planet. And we're committed to deepening our sustainability efforts. Here, you see that our philosophy has three aspects. The first one is quality. I mentioned that quality comes from caring, and quality is always our top priority. Delivery means that we keep our promises to customers, employees, suppliers, and society. In terms of value, we continue to improve our costs so that we can provide better value to our customers. And this is our vision. We want to become the preferred incubation partner for the medical startups. We also want to become a key strategic partner for world-class medical device manufacturers. So as developer, we want to transfer technology to Taiwan, nurture startups, and connect high-quality startups to international markets. As manufacturer, we want to become the key strategic partner for world-class medical device manufacturers. And we want to be the trusted partner in electrosurgical devices, extend our applications, and also lead in new product and technology development. So with this vision, we have created several strategies. First of all, we need to understand customer need and customer expectation. And in our market, there are several key success factors. You need to have key technology, you need to meet customer needs. You also need to have top quality. In addition, you need to have customizable service. And of course, you need to be able to continue to improve yourself so that you can drive down costs for not just for us, but for our customers as well. And here, it's also very important to have world-class certification and international medical regulatory certification. And here, we in fact have 6 pillars: new products and new markets, smart lean production, enhanced production competitiveness, and total quality management, TQM, strengthen organization capability, as well as social enterprise. So to put it simply, we want to be able to provide comprehensive solution and be the client's only choice. On this page, I'd like to share with you our business model and its evolution. So, in the beginning, we started with benchmarking, and our strategy was to work with world-class companies so that we become their CEM or OEM. For the moment, we are already a supplier of top 3 global medical device manufacturers, and we are now the sole supplier for many products in the market. In addition, we also have world-class quality management system, and we have fully automated production lines, and we independently design and develop our own brand RF products as well. So that means that we already have firm footing in the RF field. In 2005, we added a new part of the business model, which is niche market. So what that means is that we are selecting high value added field with potential, and we are working with the third-ranked customer in the orthopedics sector for the sports medicine market. And currently, this market already contributes 40% of our gross margin. And we are also independently developing our own brand of orthopedic, minimally invasive surgical instruments. In 2015, we set up a venture capital. So we now also have a new arm in our business model, which is MedTech. Our purpose is to nurture startups and accelerate new product development to enter new technology fields and deepen our relationship with leading manufacturers. We work with Taiwanese startups, and we also develop an endoscopic system, and this system has received government grants. So thanks to this new area, we are now also stepping into the precision medicine sector. So I just talked to you about our company's mission and vision. How do we implement such vision? Now, it's important for the top management to walk the talk. And I also want to talk to you about our quarter meetings. So from 2009 to 2024, we've already held nearly 60 meetings. So everyone in the company, from the chairperson to the cleaner to the operator to basically everyone has to attend the quarterly meeting. And we spent 1.5 hours to talk about our company's mission and philosophy. We also talk about how our products are being used. Most importantly, we stress the importance of quality. And this is a perennial theme in our quarterly meetings. And we also talk about some of the areas to pay attention to under the issue of quality. Regarding ESG and AI, we are also using the quarterly meetings to talk about how we look at AI, and we hope to form a consensus with everyone so that everyone is on the same page and we are moving towards the same direction. And here I want to talk about the so-called 5C. Now, this 5C framework was created by our founder. So you have caring, culture, capital, capacity, and capability, the 5 Cs. And we aspire to harmonize company strategy with our sustainability goals. In the pursuit of operational performance, we are also committed to integrating E, S, and G elements. So let me start from culture. Honesty and integrity are the key values for us. We need to value teamwork. We need to plan and prioritize. We want our people to be professional and independent. They also have to be friendly. In terms of capacity, we need to have friendly and flexible manufacturing lines. Obviously, we don't just strive to be in line with the regulations. We actually have to do more. And we also pay attention to the downtime for employees. I don't know whether you've been to our Jiayi facility. We have a beautiful restaurant. We have sports facilities, including a gym. We also have areas for our employees to organize events. Capability. Here there are two areas. We have smart manufacturing and also core technologies. We want to achieve comprehensive clinical applications. Here you see a person So all these are surgical interventions that we are focusing on. So in the RF surgery area and also in terms of supersonics and so on, we have widespread capabilities.
We work with surgeons and other companies abroad. We also work with startups so that we can go into more fields, enhance our capabilities, and come up with innovative applications. Next, I want to talk about smart manufacturing. Our production line is very flexible. We are also enhancing our development capabilities. We want to be able to do automation on our own. We want to introduce AI into our workplace as well. We focus on lean production and process optimization. We also integrate and optimize our product flow. For medical devices, this is actually the basic standards. That's the minimum. And we want to include virtual reality in our smart manufacturing. Finally, I want to talk about capital, how to create a healthy cycle. We have invested in our new facilities. We have also entered the US market. We focus on automation, and we also offer warehousing services for our customers. We turn innovation into actual products. For us, these efforts have created new sources of revenue and make sure our company has a strong balance sheet. Now, this slide is about our ESG strategy. Our ESG strategy is centered on caring. We care for people, care for the planet, and care for products. We focus on energy saving and low carbon manufacturing. In terms of social aspects, we want to create a happy workforce. We put our employees first. We also try to do what's good for the society. And in terms of governance, it's all about integrity and sustainable operation. More details on ESG. First, environment. We have established the various management systems. We are also verified by third parties. For example, here you see the different ISO standards that we have complied with. And we have cut down our carbon emissions by more than 2,000 tons. So now our annual emission is about 6,000 tons. We also have adopted 200 hectares of farmland in Hualien, reducing the burning of straws. We also work on biodiversity by adopting the Formosan sandbar deer. We have been doing this for 8 years. Social. First, social welfare, and second, welfare for our employees. The 6 major social welfare aspects include talent cultivation, caring for the planet, caring for those in need, and the elderly, etc. Our company started small. Now we are investing 80 million Taiwan dollars per year on this. Of course, this may seem like a small amount compared to what major companies, large corporations can do, but we are actually helping a lot of people with this. Now, in terms of what we do for our employees, we won the award, the HR Asia Award for most caring company last year. We are also launching EAP program to take care of the mental health of our workforce. Governance. We are not a listed company, so we are not required by the Financial Supervisory Commission in Taiwan to issue a governance report. However, we are doing that. And we have also won the 27th National Quality Award in 2024. In 2022, we won EcoVadis Silver Medal. And we also have been recognized by Commonwealth Magazine for our excellence in CSR. Finally, I would like to conclude with this. I would like to talk about our ND way. This street sign is not a computer-generated image. It's an actual street sign. The city government originally wanted to name this road New Diatronics Street, but we changed it to ND Way because we want to mark our ND Way. ND Way is about innovation and continuous improvement. We enhance our long-term partnership with customers, suppliers, and employees. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Zhang, for that brilliant presentation. The organizers would like to present you with a token of appreciation. General Manager Zhang from CPC is going to present the certificate.
请。好，我们谢谢，我们再次感谢。
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Zhang.
好，谢谢，谢谢。好，谢谢，请回座。
Thank you. Please be seated. Next, we would like to welcome Chen Queren from Yisan Bank. He's going to talk to us about talent cultivation in the financial sector. Let's welcome him. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm from Yisan Bank. Today, I want to talk to you about cultivating sustainable talent and leveraging financial impact. The microphone is not functioning. People ask me why we are engaged in these ESG efforts. Well, about a few years ago, we reviewed some past documents. Actually, 32 years ago, when Yisan Bank was just in the preparation stage, sustainable operation was already a key word. Now, first, well, how's the weather in Taipei? It's always very hot. Okay, every year on my birthday, I will find a new place to go. It's a place I can only go on my own. I cannot take my family with me because they don't like to go outdoor. So this year, I went to a remote island of Taiwan, Dongyin Island, Xiyin Island. These are remote islands of Taiwan, and indeed, I got extreme sun exposure. Another story. A while ago, I talked with some people who were stationed outside. People say Taipei is actually hotter than Bangkok in Thailand. About the temperature record in Taiwan. For the past 13 months, we've been seeing record-breaking temperatures. So going forward, perhaps we don't need to shop for winter clothes anymore because temperatures just gonna be rising and rising. According to the Paris Accord, we need to limit the global temperature rise under 1.5 degrees Celsius, but the temperature is still breaking records. And extreme weather is affecting all sectors. This is a risk faced by everybody. That's the first thing I want to talk about. Second, ND has a carbon emission of 6,000 tons per year. That puts me to shame. Do you know our carbon emission? 5.42 million tons. With scope 1 and scope 2, that's less than 21,000 tons. So the rest of the carbon emission comes from scope 3, the companies that we lend to. For example, they account for 54.5% of our carbon emission. We take deposits from everybody and then we invest. We buy corporate and government bonds. And carbon emissions from these bond issuers also account for about 19%. That is why we, as a player in the financial sector, we need to help our partners cut carbon emission together. At E.SUN Bank, we have a blueprint for sustainability. It's like a house with two foundations. The first foundation is your culture, your people. And the second foundation is your system and your risk management system. We have 3 strategies. First, we need to be in line with international practices. Whichever sector you are in, you must be in line with international practices. Second, you need to create value. Create value for customers, employees, and the society. Strategy number 3, we want to leverage our influence. So that's our blueprint for sustainability. At the core of all of this is people. Toyota talks about educating people first, running business second. So this is the core. People is the leading indicator, is also a key indicator. Later on, I'm going to talk about sustainability brand, sustainable employer, sustainability literacy. ESG is at the core of my presentation today. In 2011, we established our CSR committee. We were one of the first in Taiwan to do this. Then people started to use ESG and sustainability in place of CSR. So our CSR committee was renamed Sustainability Committee. The chair of that committee is our chairperson, and the committee is composed of 3 independent directors, as well as other directors of the board. In 2022, in the first quarter of 2022 to be exact, we were among the first companies in Taiwan to establish a chief sustainability officer. Under CSO, there are 6 working groups. They come from different departments within E.SUN Bank. After more than a year, we realized that at different departments or divisions, there has to be someone responsible for sustainability. And that's why last year in Q4, we reorged. And this is our new organization. At the BU level, we are establishing the core unit and the relevant units.
And here you'll see corresponding departments or divisions with dedicated personnel for sustainability. So they have to look at the global trends, and other people have to support the sustainability units. So you see all these business units, BUs, they come up with their visions. For example, institutional banking, they want to be the best partner for corporate sustainability transformation. We have monthly meetings. In the year-end strategic report, every product line has to present their sustainability strategy for the next 3 years. So the monthly meetings are used to track progress for each division. And every 3 months, there will be a quarterly meeting attended by the president and also the board director. So that's what we are doing. In terms of talent pool, we have a very diverse talent pool. And I think that currently we are actually hiring a lot of people coming from non-banking backgrounds, for example, psychology majors, literature majors, and so on. Now, the competition for top talent is very fierce now. That's why we are working with colleges. We are also organizing different events. Now, some people say that the financial industry will one day become like technology industry. I think that's very possible. Now I'd like to talk about how we cultivate talent. So from the bottom up, we have new clerks, and then we also have the so-called hope engineers. This is basically the class for mid-level managers. Now for senior executives, we also have the so-called excellence college. So basically, we are training people at different levels. If you are a new clerk, it's too early to talk to them about succession. So we first talk about sustainable corporate culture and what they have to do to promote sustainability. Now, when they are moving on to the level of a mid-level manager, then obviously we have to go a bit deeper. When you are a senior executive, then we have to talk about legacy and also sustainable operations. So, for example, the new hires, we talk about ESON's sustainable practices. Now, in fact, we have a board game called Knowing SDG. Now, have you played this game? It's actually a lot of fun. Now, so you have about 10 people competing, and by playing this board game, you learned SDGs, and you also learn how your actions can have an impact on others. And I see that a lot of the new hires, in fact, really learn a lot. I remember we have a independent director who is a university professor, and he also took this game to his university. So I think it's a very good tool to initiate people. And then for mid-level management, we work with, for example, professors and so on to talk to these mid-managers in waiting the importance of sustainability. Now, for the senior executive level, we again also work with universities and other industries. And I mentioned that we have the so-called Excellence College. Now, the program is 1.5 years. So this is basically to train successors. And we have professors teaching in the class. And in the class, sustainability is a key concept. Now, recently, the students who will become senior executives were taken to Kyoto in Japan. Why in Kyoto? It's because there are a lot of companies with long histories, sometimes as long as 200, 300 years. So we visited Kyocera, and it's because we really admire the business philosophy of Kyocera. And we also visited a company called Nishijin Ori. It's a company with a 300-year history. It only produces one product, which is the belt for the Japanese emperor. And we visited this company to see how they transformed themselves in the modern age. And we also visited very old temples where we listened to monks talking about sustainability. And we also have a program for sustainable finance manager. The reason why we set up this program was because we could see a lot of programs that teach you how to calculate carbon footprint, for example. But the thing is, we are in a service industry, not a manufacturing industry. That's why we set up our own program to train sustainable finance managers. Now, again, it's a very intensive program, and there's a final exam. And this program is now made available for other banks as well. And I think that this is very positive, because it's good that many people are learning about sustainable finance. Now, in terms of how we align ourselves with international standards, well, in Taiwan, we definitely have to go international. In November in Korea, do you know what they are going to talk about? In November, there's a convention, international convention, plastics convention. Once the convention is signed, it will have a huge impact on Taiwan, because people are using a lot of plastic bags in Taiwan. But what about the plastic bag makers? Where are they going to go? So from COP27, Dubai, and so on, our top executive attended the COP meetings, because we want people to know what in Taiwan we've been doing. So that's our chairman. The chairman said that many people don't know that in Taiwan we are working very hard to transform ourselves to achieve sustainability. So we are also trying to promote Taiwan, and in New York there's going to be an event, and it's on biodiversity. Our chief sustainability officer will be there, and also TNFD and also TIFD, inequity. So all these standards have come up, and we really need to adjust ourselves to try to meet the new standards. Now, with talent and know-how, the sustainability concepts will become part of our financial products and also become part of our operations. And our own buildings will all be green buildings, and now our progress rate is 70%. And also, if you lend to someone, we now have sustainability linked loans as well. So if you, for example, meet certain standards, then you get better interest rates. And if you use our ATMs, and in fact, a lot of our online accounts are now carbon neutral. And we started planting trees back in 2008. We also work with the Bureau of Agriculture to plant trees across Taiwan. And we are also planning to plant 100,000 native trees in Taiwan. And in October, we are also going to work on our sustainability initiative. Now, many sectors will join our event, and I hope that if you are interested, you can also come to our event. But obviously, if you come to this event, we hope that you can also set a timeline for yourself to decarbonize. And here, these are some of the measures that we have been doing in our workplace. Now, if our employees buy electric cars or electric scooters, then they can get subsidies. And we also provide charging stations within our buildings. And the charging stations use 100% green energy. And we've also won some recognition. So I want to thank the CPC and the National Quality Awards. Now, we've been a winner for 5 years in a row, but behind that, there's really a lot of effort. So, and we became a constituent stock in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. Now, we always say that if you walk alone, you can probably walk faster, but if you work together, then you can do even more. That's why we always believe that the more we do, the more we can do. So it's important for us to work together. We want to make the world a better place. Thank you.
谢谢，我们再次陈处长。
Thank you. Mr. Chen, please remain on the stage. Once again, may I ask our General Manager to present the Certificate of Appreciation. Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your presentation. Please look at the camera in front.
好，谢谢。
Thank you.
那么接下来是我们的休息时间。
Now we are going to take a short break. So after listening to the presentations, it's now time to stretch your legs. We have refreshments outside, and we also provide water for you. So don't forget to take your cups, and please be back for the second session at around 3.
门口2处都有茶水，大家都可以装置哦。另外，会场外也有我们 CPC 的经营管理书籍，也欢迎大家翻阅，谢谢。
对。test test test test。test test。test test。
回。各位贵宾，大家好。那我们待会下半场的活动即将于1分钟后开始，请各位贵宾。
Our session will begin in 1 minute. Please kindly be seated. Thank you.
好，那我们下半场的活动即将开始，请大家尽速就座。
Our session will begin shortly. Please kindly be seated.
好的，谢谢大家，欢迎大家回到我们下半场的活动。那
Thank you for coming back. We are going to hear from Xu Fuhua of CPC. He's going to talk to us about TPIM and SDGs. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Xu. Vice President Chen, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm going to talk to you about TPIM, Total Performance Integration Management, and SDGs. Earlier, we already heard from various presentations. We heard from Esun Bank and DG and ND, how they form their vision and incorporate their vision into strategies. What I'm going to talk about is how to form goals based on your strategy. This morning, we actually received a delegation from Singapore. And they were interested to learn about what Taiwan is doing in green sustainability or green productivity. And here I have a few things to share. Taiwan is actually leading in this aspect in green productivity. And the Singapore delegation, they say they're still at the exploration stage. They are still trying to identify best practices internationally. Last year, we formed a delegation to visit Japan. Japan is also at the infant stage. But here in Taiwan, we actually are leaders. Many of our regulators, government agencies, whether it's FSC or Ministry of Agriculture, they have all formulated relevant policies. Now, in my presentation, I want to emphasize one thing. To be sustainable, you must never work alone. Sustainability is not about spending money or spending huge amounts of money. No. But many people have this misconception. They think that sustainability is all about spending more. We have consulted for several companies, and they have all learned one important lesson, that is sustainability can help them make money. And one aspect of that is green design. For example, we have consulted for a company that was making a lot of money, but their yield was very low. But they were okay with that because they were making money, even though their product quality was poor. We at CPC, we applied our methodology for them to identify some rooms for improvement. For example, and then they realized that there was one particular product that had very poor yield, as low as 20%. So we solved that issue for them. We used the Pinko method, and we helped them identify where defects were occurring so that they could improve their yield. Because we have identified the key issue. This company, they export to Europe, so they need to have carbon emission related data. And we also help them with that in doing their carbon inventory. This is about carbon footprint. And they have one material, benzene, that is creating a lot of carbon emission. So we asked them whether that material can be replaced with other materials. The answer is yes. It's just that they had to adjust their manufacturing process. And that's what they did. So they created a new product, and they got patents for that new product, and that product is very well received by the market with a lower cost, lower carbon emission. So with that, what I wanted to tell you is that when you look at the issue of sustainability, don't just think of it as a cost issue. Actually, it can help you save money in some aspect. My presentation can be divided into 3 parts. First, I'll talk about trends and goals. Then I'll talk about 3 aspects of TPIM. The 3 aspects, or 3 dimensions. Businesses mostly focus on management or productivity, but we need to focus on sustainability as well. So now we have 3 dimensions: productivity, management, and sustainability. And this chart is from FSC. Listed companies need to issue sustainability reports as well as carbon footprint report. As shown on this slide, with sustainability report by 2025, companies with a capital of 2 billion or below have to publicize their sustainability report. And FSC is going to launch a digital platform on which listed companies need to submit their sustainability reports. These measures will be implemented by 2025. As for other details, we are still waiting for the announcements from FSC. This slide is about greenhouse inventory taking. I'm sure most of you have conducted your inventory taking. For companies of different capital or different sizes, there are different milestones. For listed companies, they need to follow this timeline. We at CPC, we have many customers, clients who are interested in this area, greenhouse gas inventory, and many of them are SMEs. And why are they interested in this? Because they are required by their brand clients. Their clients are asking them to conduct greenhouse gas inventory and reduce greenhouse gas emissions year by year. So SMEs are being demanded by their clients, and if they cannot meet the demands of their brand clients, they are going to lose orders. This is to tell you, please take this very seriously. Your brand clients are not just talking the talk. Most of them take this very seriously. Again, we are serving many SME clients. They are working on this together with us at CPC. First, you need to take stock of your greenhouse gas emissions and then identify ways to cut emissions. I see people waving their hands. They don't want to do this right now. Well, we need to follow their policy, right? Let me share with you one anecdote. One client says, well, we have already cut our emissions. I don't know where else we can cut emissions. Well, the only solution for that company is to buy green electricity. So these are just some real examples from our clients, just to share with you. And here you see the common demands or requirements from brand customers. For example, Apple, they require their suppliers to achieve carbon neutrality by 2030. HP achieve carbon neutrality in the supply chain by 2040 and conduct CDP. Lenovo achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. They follow EICC guidelines, etc. And also worth noting are the requirements from the state government of California. For companies with a revenue exceeding $1 billion, they need to disclose their greenhouse gas emissions across all scopes. As mentioned earlier, scope 3 is also very important.
So that means that you have to disclose your scope 3 emissions. I think for a lot of companies, this is really a pain point. For example, Isan. In fact, like the vast majority of Isan's emissions are scope 3 emissions. And now you have to disclose scope 3 emissions and manage such emissions. And that's going to be a challenge for many of us. So how do we combine all these requirements with ESG? Now, we talked about carbon footprints, and that falls under the pillar E, environment. So greenhouse gases, carbon emissions, all these are under environment. Now, we're not going to talk too much about the social dimension and governance, but basically, in order to overcome such challenges, we need to have strategies within our company. Now, many of the previous speakers also talked about the SDGs, and there are 17 SDG goals. And so I'm going to skip this. And next up, I'll talk about the concept of TPIM, Total Performance Integration Management. Now, this is a tool that we can use. This is a tool that we introduced from Japan more than 10 years ago. Now, in Japan, this tool was called TP, Total Productivity. So it's basically BSC in Japan, the Japanese version of BSC, let's put it that way. But it's slightly different from BSC. So here, strategy will be turned into goals. And then everyone has to play a part in achieving these goals. So it's a comprehensive framework. And it's basically about using collective effort to raise productivity. And here, I also want to talk to you about the structure of this tool. Now, in response to the international sustainability trend, we really need to incorporate a lot of concepts into our strategy. The previous speakers already showed us how they do this. Now, after you set up the goals and strategies, the next step is to implement the strategies. So, this is how we do it. This is the structure of TPIM. You have the vision, you have the goals, and how you are going to spread the goals across the different divisions. And Isan, speaker, also talked about how different departments are setting their goals as well. And we also want to introduce the approach of smart manufacturing. If you want to cut emissions, the first step is to enhance your energy use efficiency. So, for example, you could replace aging equipment, or you can try to cut emissions on the production floor. So, all these are measures to increase your energy efficiency. Some companies, obviously, a lot of companies grow. And when they grow, their carbon footprint also grows. So in their reports, they might see that their carbon emissions are going higher and higher. So when you work on your carbon emissions report, other than emissions, you also have to look at carbon intensity. This is also a measure that you have to include. So carbon intensity means that, for example, for every dollar you make, how much carbon is being emitted. So it's a proportion. Usually, when you become bigger, your carbon intensity will become lower because your production efficiency is now higher. And that's why I want to specifically point out the concept of carbon intensity. Now, other than carbon issues, we obviously also have to consider management issues and sustainability issues. At CPC, we incorporate all these different aspects. So we use environmental management standards, for example, the ISO 14 somethings. All these are environmental management standards. And as your company grows, you have to introduce these ISO standards. Now, for SMEs, obviously, maybe it's not yet that urgent. Now, carbon footprint. So, as you produce a product, you have to look at the carbon emissions of every stage of the process. You have to calculate such footprint. For example, to produce this given product, how much electricity is required? You have to make such calculations. If you don't make such calculations and only provide assumptions, then people can question the data. Now, if you export to Europe, carbon footprint is something that you definitely have to pay attention to. And here, I also want to use this graph to again show you the structure of TPIM. So you have the philosophy, you have the objectives, and then you have the different KPIs. And this is to guide your people. And here, in terms of the implementation steps, we start from industry analysis and the trend analysis. And then step 2 is to clarify your vision. And then step 3, you have to establish system and define your KPIs. And step 4 is to improve continuously. Now here you see a TPIM and its 3 key dimensions. Here the total score is 360 points. And we have a grading methodology that can help you. And here you see 6 different groups. So this graph shows the relationship between components of sustainability capability and the SDGs. And again, this is to help you integrate the different key dimensions. Now, often we talk about employee compensation and benefits and sustainable growth. Now, obviously, how to share the growth of the company is important. So this is to tie employee remuneration with sustainable growth. It's important for us to be able to retain talent. So I think for SMEs, it's a very important issue as well. And again, we have all these different checklists and scoring sheets and so on. On this page, you see how we use digital approaches to present the different areas. I think as you introduce KPIs into your company, what you don't want to do is a lot of manual operation. And we really want the KPIs to be applied in a very fair way. Now, this is an example, Agbel Polytech, and we worked with the company, and the company won an award last year. So again, there are 4 areas that they have to work on to establish consensus and deploy strategy. So all these are in their ESG report. So the company set up long-term goals. So for example, they have to reduce carbon emissions by 45% by 2030. Later on, we'll hear from another company who will also share with you their carbon reduction efforts. Now, to achieve their goals, Agbel Polytech redesigned their products. And in fact, this is the implementation of the green design concept. They also introduced measures to shorten their R&D, and they also moved to automation. The company also set up SBTi goals. So this is probably the most stringent standard for the moment. So here again, you see the 45% reduction goals. In fact, all these reports, all these goals have to be certified by a third party. So this, in fact, involves a lot of investment. Now, I understand that a lot of big companies are working in this area as well. So that was a very brief presentation from me. And if you are interested in any of these tools, please contact us at CPC. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Xu, for the presentation. Please be reminded that we'll provide you with an email link, and with the link, you'll be able to access all the presentation materials. Now, please join me in welcoming our next speaker, Mr. Lin Jingyi from Atrans Precision Industries. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Lin Jingyi from Atrans Precision Industries. So we are a company with about 100 people, and I'll show you how we work to cut our carbon emissions. Now, Atrans was acquired by us 6 years ago, and what we hope to do is to look at how this newly acquired company can reduce carbon emissions. The company has 174 employees, We export heavy-duty machinery to companies such as John Deere. And our revenue from Taiwan only account for 3% of our total revenue. 97% of our revenue come from exports. And here, as I mentioned, our markets are mostly in Europe and the US, including Finland and the US and so on. If you sell to the US and European markets, obviously they have higher ESG requirements. Our development strategy is actually very simple. Electrification of cars, automation of machines, motor diversification, and agricultural machinery economization. So these are our pillars in terms of product development. Now, when we talk about ESG, we often talk about keeping temperature rise under 2 degrees Celsius. And some people told me that it's simple to keep a temperature rise under 2 degrees because they thought that they could just do this by adjusting the thermometer.
说，我先建立说，
Here we talk about GSE. First, we have to build these sustainability literacy among our workforce and then impact their behavior and then develop sustainable habits. Now, on corporate governance, we streamline our organization so that we can make decisions fast. For example, in the past, accounting used to take a lot of time, but now we can finish in a relatively short time. We also have financial optimization, and we also have internal examination and control. Because we have a streamlined organization, many things have become easier. Next step, digitalization. Supply chain, reporting system, delivery system, everything is being digitalized step by step. For example, sitting there just now, I also signed off several documents. Our company is paperless. This is also another way to cut emissions. Now, about our manufacturing system, we have over 100 machines and they're all connected. We have a lot of data from the machines, the pieces of equipment that we have, and the data can be visualized. So we have a clear understanding of how much electricity is being used, for example. And also, we are a system integrator. Many companies are considered our downstream partners, including China Steel and Zhonghua Motors. Now, how do you communicate with your partners? Of course, we no longer use fax or telephone. We use digital systems. So everything, all the information that you need can be clearly viewed here. And this can help us do carbon footprint calculation much more easily. So at this stage, this is the infrastructure building stage. Now, social. We want to save the planet, but of course, we need to start by saving our own workforce. This is how we take good care of our employees. For example, different stages of training. Do we have enough? Do we save enough pension for them? Do we provide better benefits for them? Do we have clear rules for bonuses, etc.? First, we want to make sure we have the right framework so employees can rest assured that as long as the company grows, they can also reap the benefits. Another aspect, improve our environment. If the factory floor is not an inviting environment for your employee, of course, they cannot work on ESG together with you. We have a lot of waste gases in our production floor, and those can be recycled. And here you see photos of our teams going to Japan and Germany to learn from their best practices. we have also improved the employee housing. But now we have realized, because our chef provides very nutritious food, we see some employees having increased BMI. So we'll fine-tune that. We try to make sure our employees are fit and healthy. And that is why we have established a gym for our staff. You need to first take good care of your employees before you can work on anything else. And at HN, for the past few years, we are happy to say that we have 0 work-related accidents, no injuries or deaths. We also invite healthcare professionals to the company to provide physical checkups for our employees. I am sorry for the small font. This is our HR development. We work with vocational school students. We work with engineers. We also try to improve our management level thinking. Here we want to thank Ministry of Economic Affairs, especially the Industrial Development Administration, for helping us embark on this program. This program is about implementing or adopting AI into our production line. Specifically, we provided training to our young engineers, and now we have at least 3 product lines that are using this technology. And this year, we are trying to apply for a budget of 3.2 million to improve another production line. For all SME representatives here, I would encourage you to apply for various programs from MOEA. As long as you want to improve your own company, the government is actually more than willing to help. You don't have to deliver good results first before you can apply. You can apply first. For example, by engaging in these programs, you will understand where your weaknesses are. Over the years, we have accumulated 113 certificates. We're a company of only 117 people. And this is saying something about the quality of our people. And yes, last year we were also recognized as a company for outstanding talent development. Now let's talk about the environment. We produce machinery. Our products have very long lifespans, and they can be recycled. In our manufacturing facilities, we use electricity and water primarily. First, how do we save electricity? We calibrate our equipment, we install rooftop solar panels, we switch to LED light bulbs, we optimize production process, and we try to adopt smart manufacturing. This is an ongoing process. Here you see our energy efficiency is going up. For each per kilowatt hour of electricity, we can produce a value of 342 Taiwan dollars. In other words, our revenue is growing and our electricity cost is coming down. In the past, this is our electricity consumption, and we've been able to cut electricity consumption by 1.04 million kilowatt hours. And in terms of carbon emissions, our revenue has grown from 600 million to 1 billion. And now solar PV can supply about 57% of the electricity consumption at our facilities. Going forward, we're going to add energy storage facilities so that we can achieve carbon neutrality. These are the efforts we've been implementing for the past few years. So what's left for us to do is Scope 3 emissions. Of course, on that, we need to work with our suppliers. Now, water conservation. Water bill is really cheap in Taiwan. Once I was touring the facility and I realized that there was a leaky pipe. That's why I heard water dripping. Over the years, with our efforts, we have been able to cut our water use by 57%. That sounds fantastic, right? But this is the average amount of water usage. 338 in Taipei, 289 in Taiwan, on average 267 in Taoyuan. In other words, we were wasting water in the past. Sorry about that. But now we are lower than the average in Taoyuan at 210. But that seems to be the floor. We have not been able to reduce water usage anymore. So what to do? We try to recycle waste fluid on our own. Now, 97% of the water can be recycled and reused. We have also patented this system. So we are able to save water usage and also save costs. So I need to tell you, implementing ESG efforts can actually make money for you. I know many manufacturers use air compressors. Here's a suggestion for you. Air compressors can enjoy a lot of subsidies from the government. For example, air compressors can have a electricity bill of 400,000 Taiwan dollars, but if you upgrade your air compressors, you can get significant subsidy from the government, and you will make profits very soon. In our employee housing, we have several employees living in our dormitory. And with this upgraded equipment, we're able to save electricity cost by 20%. Now we are also working on a rainwater recycling system. So if water usage is cut off, we on our own can survive for 3.6 days. Our goal is to be able to be self-sufficient for at least 7 days. And this is our greenhouse carbon footprint inventory. I advise you to start your carbon footprint inventory sooner rather than later. We also try to improve our energy management system. Now, in our factory, you will be able to see at a glance which equipment is using how much electricity. And if there are abnormalities, the system will give you 4 warning flags so that you can quickly fix the situation. Over the years, because we've been implementing these ESG measures, we've been receiving grants, certificates, and patents. And these are all good track records to show our foreign clients. We also advise our clients to use these reusable containers so that we don't have to keep buying wood containers. Now about 70% of our clients use these metal storage cages. International clients have very high expectations of us. For example, AGCO is a client of us, and they are the biggest customer in Europe. And in 2019, we tried to tap into a segment to be the most environmentally friendly product, but we encountered many difficulties trying to sell them a green product to them. And then I attended a meeting with their president, and we learned that it was not about pricing for them. It was more, they care more about ESG. And because we prepared fully, we were able to convince them to use our product after a 5-hour meeting. And this is a photo of us receiving the Taiwan SME Award. We try to enter these competitions because these competitions will give you great insights from the jury, and you can, based on their feedback, improve your company further. For example, we have been applying for patents. That was actually a suggestion from one of the jurors. They say, since you have these technologies, why don't you apply patents on those technologies? So we've learned a lot along the way. Now, A-Tran, we are a company that can give back to the society. We help our people grow, and we learn and we share. Thank you very much, General Manager. Please remain on the stage. Again, CPC General Manager would like to present you with the certificate of appreciation. Thank you for your precise and insightful presentation. Thank you.
好，谢谢，那请回座，谢谢。
Thank you.
接着，让我们欢迎绿盟
Now, please join me in welcoming Mr. Xiao Wei Song, the General Manager of Leven IP Management Consultancy. Let's welcome him.
大家午安。接着下来这个
Good afternoon. So, in my presentation, I'll talk about ESG and ESG associated risks from a different perspective. I am a lawyer by background. So, when we talk about ESG, what is the relationship between ESG and the law? Now, in practice, a lot of ESG goals are linked with national legislation and international standards. With these requirements in place, there are certain obligations that you have to meet, and that's why there are compliance risks and legal risks. If you do not meet these requirements, obviously you cannot meet the SDGs either. So for example, carbon emissions. When you talk about carbon reduction, obviously countries also have their own laws in terms of carbon reduction. Perhaps there are carbon fees and so on. So all these carry legal obligations. Now, to meet the SDG goals, obviously you also have to think about how you really carry out your obligations under the law. And on this page, so let me give you a scenario. Sometimes we get calls from company CEOs. They say, oh, in our factory, there's an air pollution case. What should we do about it? And what is the legal responsibility of the company? Will the factory be shut down? Will there be massive fines? They have a lot of questions for us. And what we see is that as companies look to pursue sustainability, they may encounter certain legal difficulties. The first challenge is that they have to navigate through the legal framework. Now, for example, a Taiwanese company set up a factory in China, and the Taiwanese company told me that they have no idea what kind of ESG regulations they have to follow. They said that they are not 100% sure, and they are not sure that the information that they have is the latest either. So they hired us to do research, and we found that there are 742 regulations. So how do you incorporate all these regulations into your company operations? So that's one very big challenge. Now, with all these legal requirements, can people on the front line correctly interpret these regulations? We worked with a lot of cases, especially cases involving violation of the Waste Management Act. Very often, the people on the front line had no idea that what they have been doing is actually against the law. And that's why there's litigation. So it's important to enable your people to understand the laws, to not break the laws. So if you don't have this legal background and yet you are expected to carry out all the legal obligations, it's indeed very, very difficult, especially for people working on the front line. So that's the first challenge. Now, if you are a multinational company, maybe you also have operations in Japan, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Every country has different regulations, and there are also product standards that you need to be aware of. So just to know what laws there are is a great difficulty. And then there's the difficulty in complying with the law. Now, let's say you know what regulations there are. How do you ensure that you are in compliance with the law? Just now, Mr. Xu said that we have to set goals, and the goals have to be allocated to the different departments. And it's the same with legal compliance. It's the frontline people who have to carry out the work. And if they make a mistake, they themselves have to be held accountable, and the company will be held accountable as well. So I mentioned in the case that this Taiwanese company in China, in fact, has to deal with more than 700 regulations. In fact, even big multinational companies can find it very difficult to navigate the laws. And that's why the legal risk is very high. Are the frontline people aware of the laws? Now, to be honest, I think it's probably not a given. Now, sometimes a company owner didn't know that there was violation of the law until something has been reported in the newspaper. So that's one difficulty. Sometimes you don't have the most updated information, and if you don't have such information, it's difficult to manage related risks. And in fact, this is a situation that we see all the time. And thirdly, if a crisis does arise, how do you manage it? That's the problem. From a legal point of view, in terms of crisis management, you want to minimize the damage. But often when we receive the case from a company, usually it's when there's already a legal case. But of course, there were also success stories. A company faced a crisis. They came to us, the lawyers, and we told them what they had to do. So you need to have a very professional team to help you. It's just that within companies, obviously, crisis management is not your day-to-day job. That's why it's very important for you to find professionals who can minimize damage for you. Now, so based on our experience and also given the 3 levels of difficulties that I just shared with you, I guess many companies probably don't really know that they are in a very precarious position. But are there any solutions? I'm a lawyer, but I was also a civil engineer, and I feel that we should use the power of technology to help us. We've talked about fintech. Perhaps there's also legal tech. Now, we have a system that is patented in Taiwan. So, in order to overcome all the difficulties that I talked to you about, first of all, you need to know what laws and regulations there are. Let's say you want to find out what laws are applicable to you, and you also need to know what regulations you have to follow. Now, obviously, the laws and regulations are very complex, and just by reading them doesn't mean that you understand all these regulations. So I think this is an area where you will need professional help. For example, help from a law firm or a team of lawyers. They have to compile all the laws and regulations that you have to follow. They also have to keep abreast of any changes to these laws and regulations. And in our system, this is something that we can do for companies. And then the next step is that external laws and regulations have to be aligned with internal measures, including checklists. Now, this is also in our system. We need to know whether there are any gaps between your internal systems and external laws and regulations. So then you can implement these rules, and then you'll generate data, and you also have to file the data. You need digitization in order to manage such a complex situation, and you also have to analyze. So the whole thing is a PDCA cycle. Mr. Lin mentioned that sometimes you have to work with a lot of suppliers, so you need to be able to link all these different elements together, particularly for multinational companies. So in our system, we also have a system that can find out the relationship between different nodes. So here, all the pieces of information is linked together, including the people. And only by doing this can you manage efficiently. Okay, and next up, I'll very quickly show you the ESG compliance management system. So on the upper left-hand side, you see the regulations. So we are watching any updates to the laws and regulations every day. And if there are any changes, then our client would receive notification. And we also provide interpretation of the law. In fact, it's important to have experienced people, but obviously a lot of the experience, in fact, were painful experiences of companies. So here you see the checklists and so on. And obviously companies can also set higher goals. And here we also have different management modules. And This is the dashboard for a factory. If you click on any field, and you can see the actual situation. So all the information is there. We also have an app, and that means that you won't miss any information. Okay, this is the management of certificates. And in this system, obviously there are also certain data that are confidential. So you can also set different levels of access. Only people with certain privileges can see certain data. And we also have the SOS helpline. And lastly, I want to talk about how we develop ESG goal. In our system, in fact, we hope to expand the system by working with law firms in other countries. Many Taiwanese companies have operations abroad, and that's why we want to work with law firms in other countries. And we want to expand this into a global network. Currently, we only cover Chinese and Taiwanese laws and regulations, and we are working on those in other countries. And in the future, we'll also have data and statistical analysis. Now, this way, you can better manage your system and your company. Now, we've been talking to a couple of companies about AIoT integration. And a lot of people are saying that they are working on AIoT. That means that they can collect data automatically.
Also, we need to consider what the data means from a legal perspective. That is what is missing right now. Of course, you can gather a lot of data from AIoT, but then you also need to turn that data into meaningful insight. That way, the data can be more meaningful and useful for enterprises. For that, we are working with a client already, and we're also in discussion with another potential client. We're helping them turn data into actionable insights so that they can mitigate their risk if there's any. We are going to keep developing this platform. And again, like I said, we have several ongoing projects related to this platform. So what I just talked about is a brief presentation on how we can mitigate and manage risk from a legal perspective. Risks may come from natural disasters, accidents, but other than that, you also need to be aware of your legal liabilities. Compliance is important because it has everything to do with your risk management and everything to do with the sustainability of your company, as well as whether your company can achieve any of the 17 SDG goals. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Xiao. Please remain on the stage for a photo. We thank you for your professional presentation. Our organizer would like to present you with a token of appreciation. Another round of applause for Mr. Xiao.
谢谢。
Thank you. Another photo here.
谢谢，谢谢肖总经理，谢谢。
Thank you very much, General Manager Xiao. Please be seated. Next, we are going to talk about local operations and inclusive productivity practices. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Yang Chaowei, Director of China Productivity Center.
总经理，
General Manager, Vice President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Chao Wei. I work at CPC, China Productivity Center. Today, my topic is local operations and inclusive productivity practices, in particular agriculture, how ESG can be implemented in the area of agriculture. How do we cut agricultural carbon emissions? Vice President Chen actually led a delegation to visit the newly formed Ministry of Agriculture. We had a productive meeting with our government officials, and we learned that agriculture actually only accounts for 2% of total carbon emissions in Taiwan. And actually, in agriculture, we are focusing on carbon sinks and the application of carbon sinks in agriculture. And of course, this is an ongoing project. We're still finalizing the program. Today, my presentation will tell you what we are doing with local communities. We would like to offer you more SDG-related programs so that all of the company representatives can find new ways to work with the agricultural sector here in Taiwan. First, I want to talk about how we can revitalize the rural areas. We want to minimize the urban-rural gap. And 2019 is designated as the first year of the National Plan for Local Revitalization. As of last month, we have experienced 43 consecutive months where births are lower than deaths. So it's an issue of national security now. What we do is that we try to revitalize the rural areas, increase the standard of living in rural areas in Taiwan. That's our goal in my division at CVC. And we focus on these 5 focus areas. First, cultivate local young talent. We provide them with training. We also help them connect with fellow young people. Second focus area, we try to incorporate diverse resources from different government agencies. We help businesses in rural areas to leverage government resources. Focus area number 3, improve infrastructure. We need to continue to strengthen rural environments, especially in terms of infrastructure. Number 4, we want to promote cross-sectoral cooperation. And here is where ESG comes in. We believe rural areas in Taiwan can work with corporations in Taiwan to work on ESG efforts. And finally, we want to deepen international connections. And this is our conceptual framework. We try to build a platform. We leverage resources from National Development Council, Ministry of Agriculture, as well as Ministry of Economic Affairs. We help traditional wet markets, traditional street vendors, as well as cooperatives. These are all people and organizations that we try to help. For example, we can help individual farmers with a revenue of, say, 200,000 Taiwan dollars, or to a larger corporation. These are all individuals and organizations we try to help. In Taiwan, some young people go back to their hometowns to work in agriculture, and we actually have teams that offer help and training for these young people returning to their hometowns so that they can hit the ground running and then really contribute back to their hometown. This is very important for them. Once they can start stable production, we want to help them add value to their products or services. We offer them agricultural equipment and financing. And once their operations are stable, we also try to help them connect with international resources. As I said, we work with National Development Council, and this is the National Land Use Planning Act. Agriculture is very important for our country, so we need to have sustainable agriculture here in Taiwan. To ensure that, we work with local farmers' cooperatives. We try to promote economies of scale, and we also try to leverage marketing resources. Farmers in Taiwan, on average, have 1 hectare of land per household, so there's no economies of scale to speak of. They need to work together in order to achieve economies of scale, and that's what we're trying to help as well. And here we follow the TPIM framework. First, we analyze the environment, we clarify the ideas, we establish the right system, and then we continue the reforms. Here on the slide, we look at the important work items that we've been doing. For example, on-site environmental management, food safety management, and product sales analysis and management. For larger enterprises, we try to help them adopt smart agriculture. We are now at phase 1. Going into phase 2, the phase 1 is a top-down approach. From the government is offering all the resources. However, by phase 2, we need to see more bottom-up approach. In other words, we want businesses in the agricultural sector to identify the resources that they have and work with other sectors so that agriculture here in Taiwan can adopt more smart technologies and methods. Here are some examples. This is an example of smart agriculture. They work with an IT company as well as a weather forecast company. They monitor the conditions in the field and gather all the data. So farmers, they can manage their farmland from the tip of their finger. They can on their smartphone, and they can also use drones to spray pesticide or fertilizers. And they also work with Xingnong. They can also create digital twins of their fields so that this example can be easily replicated by other farmers. And of course, with all that data, carbon inventory becomes much easier. Another example is low-carbon smart aquaculture. The company is called Ridong. They work with an IT company. The IT company also helps them gather data of the ponds and tanks. With aquaculture, of course, UPS is very important, and they also use green energy in their system. Now they have a comprehensive system, and this technology can be transferred to other businesses. Going forward, they may be able to export their methods and technology to other countries. That wraps up my presentation. If you want to work with people in the agricultural sector, feel free to approach me. Thank you. Thank you very much, Director Yang. Please be seated. Next, we would like to welcome Zhang Yuishen, CEO of Orient Tea Enterprise. Let's put our hands together for Ms. Zhang. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zhang Weishan. I am from Orient Tea. I'm very happy to share with you our sustainability practices. Today, my topic is sustainability for the land. Listening to previous presentations, I am amazed by the challenges that you all face and the challenges you have been overcoming. It's very complicated indeed, and as Director Yang mentioned earlier, we are from the agricultural sector. We don't have a lot of carbon emissions. So when we think about sustainability, it's not just about carbon emission. It's more about revitalizing rural areas. It's about connecting with consumers. So when you talk about sustainability, of course, carbon emission, it should never be the only thing. I don't know if you are aware of our company, our brand.
I think a lot of people maybe came across 茶籽堂 because as you travel, you probably used our products in hotels or in a department store. And I think post-COVID, more and more people are paying attention to such products, and you started to notice our brand, 茶籽堂. But in fact, we started off as a business producing bitter tea oil. I don't know whether you know us. After the food safety scandal in Taiwan in 2014, we started to think about how to create high quality oil. Now, people know a lot about high-end olive oil from the West. People are ready to pay a lot of money to buy high-end olive oil, but very few Taiwanese people know about our own bitter tea oil. This year marks the 20th anniversary of our company, and I think you are probably surprised because many people believe that we are a very young brand. And in 2016, before sustainability was such a hot issue, we started to look at the concept of B Corp certification. And at the time, we also studied concepts such as community development and so on. So in 2016, we received the B Corp certification, and we tried to incorporate B Corp concepts into our daily operations. And now we are also taking our products to the international market. So that was a long prologue. Now, some people see 茶籽堂 as part of the cosmetics industry. Some people say that we are in the cultural and creative industry. But what we are doing is, in fact, sustainable agriculture. And from the Latin etymology, agriculture means agri and culture. So it has all to do with land and local culture. When we look at sustainability, So based on the background information that I gave you, sustainability is not just about your products. You also have to think about packaging and also how you grow your raw materials. But I believe that sustainability is much more than that. And everything is about the source. And the source for us is the raw materials, is the land. So that's where we want to effect change. We want to encourage consumers to embark on a sustainable journey together with us. And what we are doing is, in fact, camellia oil. So that's, in Chinese, you might say bitter tea oil, but it's also called camellia oil. We are promoting camellia oil culture, and we are also looking at the sustainable cycle. In addition, aesthetics and beautiful packaging are also key elements for us. So that's another core pillar for us. And here you see the sustainable land ecosystem. So we have a product design, we have urban store, and also oil production process and contract farming. So that's what I'm going to talk about. There are 5 aspects, and I'll very briefly talk about each of them. In terms of product design, as I mentioned earlier, in 2021, we started to look at international sustainability guidelines, and we received a lot of stimulations. We want our products to be organic, to be natural, and so on. But what does sustainable mean? At the time, it was very difficult for us to find an answer. So in 2018, we went to the Netherlands to learn more about circularity. And so what we want to do is reduce, reuse, and recycle. We reduce the use of plastic packaging. We reuse materials, and we also recycle materials. And we started to look at all our packaging. So after we came back from the Netherlands in 2018, we started to look at different materials and talk to different suppliers. So at the time, it was very difficult for us to find the right suppliers because sustainability was not yet a very hot topic as it is now. And then we finally found a supplier who could produce 100% recycled and reused rPET. And for us, I think it's very good that we moved very early. That's why when new regulations came into place, it was not very difficult for us to meet the new standards. And then we also noticed that we can reduce the frequency of recycling by providing large volume products. And then we also started to look at our long-term strategy. Now we need to have a macro path. This way, we know where we are going rather than being led by short-term issues. So before I came here, in fact, the organizer told me that very often SMEs say that resources are limited. Indeed, as an SME, resources are limited, and that's why you have to be very focused, because there are simply not enough resources to go around. And I think what sets us apart is that we are willing to go back to the source, the raw materials. And that's why contract farming is also important for us. Now, I mentioned the food safety scandal in Taiwan, and that's why we wanted to prioritize the quality of our raw materials. Now, if you look at this industry, 90% of the seeds are imported. And that means that you don't see how a lot of the processes are done. And then in 2016, we started on the path to revive camellia oil. And we have to communicate to farmers, telling them the value of camellia so that they will be willing to become our contract farmers. And so what we are doing is not just to create economic benefits. We are also trying to revive the whole culture of camellia oil. Now, camellia trees, in fact, it takes 5 years before you can make the first harvest. So it's a long-term investment. That's why you have to understand the concerns of farmers. And we provided free seedlings. We signed long-term procurement agreements with them. That's how the growing area grew from 5 hectares to 40 hectares. And we have also been working on sustainable agriculture. Now, a lot of our contract farmers are obtaining organic certification. And recently, we were also invited to be part of a farmer event. And we are very happy to see that more and more farmers are growing camellia. In terms of oil production, now, agriculture itself is not a very big carbon emitter. But the thing is, there's a lot of agricultural waste. So we try to use every part of the camellia plant. Now, the camellia trees, in fact, there are many different parts of the plant, and you can use, for example, the seeds, the husks, and so on to make all sorts of products. And we also look at glass bottles and see how such bottles can be recycled and reused. Now, urban stores. I think those who live in the city, who only visit our stores, I guess it's very difficult for them to imagine how there's a whole process in the countryside. So in our urban stores, we have all these different images. For example, we have installations that mimic our mountains, and this is our way to educate consumers about all these plants. Now, a lot of people in Taiwan like lavender or verbena from Europe, but they don't know much about our local plants, so it's important for us to spread the words. And in terms of community work, I think it's also very important for us to work with the local community to revive the local economy. Now, there are a lot of the so-called digital nomads. Perhaps going forward, we can try to revive a whole community. So we've been working with local communities about how to improve the shared environment so that more people would want to come to visit, more people will want to move back. This way, you can revive a community. And if you look at these photos, you could see how the local environment has improved. We worked with certain projects. You see better roads and so on. And now more and more people know about this community, this neighborhood in Yilan. And then we also thought further about how we could work with local community. I mentioned earlier that as an SME, resources are limited. We have a history of 20 years, but our resources are not unlimited. So it's important to help local communities revive their economy. And so let's say there's already a restaurant in this neighborhood, and by providing them with certain assistance, then this restaurant could do more and create jobs. We are now also working on a shared working space so that more companies like us can go back to this neighborhood to try to revive the local economy. And we are now also working on a green energy program. Now, this could be a foundation on which the community continues to grow. There are a lot of stories that I can share with you, but just very briefly, I talked about how we work with farmers, how we work with the local community, and how we forge consensus and form partnerships. And this is how we have been able to achieve some results. So I mentioned our 3 core pillars. I also talked about our 5 core areas. And I think by working on this, we can spread the concept of sustainability. Thank you.
谢谢张总。
Thank you very much, Director Zhang. Please remain on the stage. Again, General Manager Zhang of CPC is going to present a token of appreciation. Thank you. Another warm round of applause.
好，谢谢，请回座。
Thank you.
接着我们来到我们今日最后一个议题分享，我们是由东丽联名。
Now we've come to the last presentation by a business today. Our speaker is Chairperson Song Hongling from Tenno Rice, Dongli Rice Mill. Let's welcome him. Mr. Zhang, Vice President Chen, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Standing here, I have really mixed emotions. Our business has a history of over 120 years. Are we proud of our company, or do we feel bad about ourselves? I don't have a clear answer. Today we're talking about carbon footprint, ESG. As mentioned earlier, agriculture is not a big carbon emitter. And people also say that we need to lead the pack. But sometimes I feel that for SMEs like us, we should be the followers, not the leaders. For example, for SMEs with limited capital, it's very difficult for us to do carbon inventory. If we are to lead in that aspect, we are going to die first. Our company will run out of resources first. Earlier in the lounge, I had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Lin and talked about what my presentation should focus on. I think the issue is that we are from a remote county in Taiwan, in eastern Taiwan. How should I say it? Whenever I think about earthquakes, they think of Hualien. When people think about typhoons, they think about Hualien. Same thing for stopped train service and other accidents. That's why I say I have mixed feelings standing here today. Here we're talking about sustainable management and how to create value together with consumers. That is really the key issue here. So I want to thank CPC for giving us this opportunity to share our experience with all of you. We're a company with a history of 120 plus years. We have survived so far, and if we're going to survive further, we need to leverage AI. Earlier, Mr. Lin talked about how they have a workforce of 170 people. Well, agriculture is a very long sector, but our production value is minimal compared to companies such as A-Train. So we do not know how to compete with high-tech companies. A company of 30 years can generate huge revenues. We, on the other hand, are a company of 120 plus years, but our revenues cannot compare with theirs. Today, I want to talk about these topics: how to cope with natural disasters, how to survive in times of crisis. We work with 500 to 600 farmers. Our contract crop area is about 7,000 hectares. We impact 500,000 people, but we have very low margin. For the past 6 years, Hualien has sustained most earthquakes in Taiwan, as well as the impact of typhoons. So our company is indeed trying to adapt to all these crises. And this is a living example. I'm going to share with you our experience with you today. Perhaps that can provide some food for thought. After the April earthquakes this year, I had a discussion with a bank in eastern Taiwan. The banker told me a marble quarry in Hualien back in 2018 sustained tremendous losses during the earthquake in 2018. So this marble factory applied for a loan of 30 million from that bank. And by March 2022, the marble factory finally paid up all the loan. And then in April of this year, they finally paid off the loan. But then on April 3rd, that same marble factory has to apply for a new loan due to the earthquake. Now they have to apply for a loan of $30 million again. It is traumatic. Now for an SME to survive, it's all about resilience and leadership. Marble factory and our agricultural products. After the earthquakes, the train service stopped, the road service stopped, but all of our consumers are in northern Taiwan. Our trucks have to go around Taiwan in order to reach consumers in Taipei. Now to go from Hualien to Taipei, it takes much longer. They have to go around Taiwan to reach consumers in Taipei. Same thing for our rice. And you can imagine that's decimating our profit margin. For example, in the past, when the road service was normal, we might have 60,000 NT dollars of profit, but now as we have to retour, we are actually losing 40,000 Taiwan dollars per day. So what do we do? Should we stop serving our customers? Everything costs. The human cost, the gas cost, etc., the fuel cost. How do we continue? All of these are testing the grit and decision-making capabilities of a business owner. Eastern Taiwan is different from Western Taiwan. We don't have high-speed rail. We don't have many expressways. We only have one main road to the outside, and one earthquake can break that main access to the outside into 3 sections. So that's what we're dealing with. Now back to my slides. We still need to continue our sustainable operation. We need to change our mindset. We cannot enjoy big margins, so we need to find a new way forward. For example, the Mid-Autumn Festival is coming up, and these days people are consuming fewer and fewer mooncakes. For example, Mr. Lin, I see him eating lots of veggies today. He's adopting a healthier diet. He's cutting his starch intake. I'm sure many people are like him. Well, it's okay. Rice is still much healthier than mooncakes. What I'm trying to say is that we can turn our rice products into Mid-Autumn Festival gift boxes. Take Mr. Zhang, for example. He probably receives more than 50 boxes of mooncakes, but he cannot consume them all, right? So what do we do? Send them to friends or what? Gift giving is our custom, but people don't eat so many mooncakes these days. But you can gift people rice cracker gift boxes. Rice crackers are going to be more popular than mooncakes, and a gift box can sell for 2,000 NT dollars. I see that these days there are a few famous confectioneries. They have long queues for their mooncakes. But I suggest that you can switch to our rice cracker gift boxes, because our gift boxes are much cheaper at 500 or 600 NT dollars only, much cheaper than the 2,000 plus mooncake gift boxes. Okay, I know I'm running out of time. Let me skip all these slides. How do we transform our business? For us, people are very important. When earthquakes hit, we need to first notify the government, let the government know the difficulties that we are faced with. Here are some photos of the 2022 earthquake. Our warehouse collapsed. We sustained a loss of 140 million Taiwan dollars. We tried to rebuild the facilities to be in time for the harvest in June. So many of the equipment came to the facility we were preparing for the harvest in June, but then another big earthquake hit on April 3rd. This is what we're dealing with. And again, this is a testament to the resilience of our company. We are not complaining, we are not blaming anyone. We try to chart a path forward. This is what we mean by sustainability. Sustainability is one of our core values. Today, I'm not talking about carbon inventory or net zero. I'm simply sharing my company's experience with you. We got the support of the government in the amount of 40 million, which helps a little bit as we sustained a loss of 140 million. But then again, 40 million Taiwan dollars from the government is not a small amount for ASME. So we're grateful for that. Of course, we do carbon footprint calculation. We also are implementing ESG measures. We work closely with the local communities. Here, I won't go into details. I just want to say that we are in the traditional industry, we're in the agricultural sector. It's us who can really help farmers and residents living in remote rural areas. As long as our company can survive, we will continue to help farmers and remote area residents. Once we got 2 containers, an order of 2 containers from Hong Kong, and with organic food, the containers cannot be fumigated. However, when the containers reached our customer in Hong Kong, because there was no fumigation, rice customers found bugs in the containers. They wanted to reject our orders, but we were able to handle that. So that was our experience with organic food. Now we stay away from organic food orders. We simply follow HACCP, and we sell to Canadian and US customers. We are also trying to tap into the Singaporean market, but for now, for the time being, we are staying away from the organic product market. So that's our experience with international markets at this stage. We are still at the exploring stage.
Future outlook. Well, I would say that we don't have a lot of ambition. We just hope that farmers' livelihood can improve, and we want children in our area to be happy. That's it. And again, we still want to remain in the rural area, and we want people to live happily there. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Song, for your presentation. Please remain on the stage. Mr. Zhang, our General Manager, will present a certificate of appreciation.
谢谢，我们再次热烈掌声鼓励。
Thank you, Mr. Song, for your presentation. Please be seated.